Welcome back to Simply Holistic. Dr. Tony here. Shifting subjects. We're going to talk about estrogen and some ways that it's important, vital for your body. We're going to look at a study here, the roles of estrogen and estrogen receptors in gastrointestinal disease. Estrogen, by the title alone, estrogen is not exclusively for your sex organs or your sex life. It's not. It's not just about PMS. It's not. Okay, so the abstract here. Estrogen is an important sex steroid hormone which serves an important role in the regulation. It's an important sex steroid hormone, plays an important role in the regulation of a number of biological functions, including regulating bone density. The skeleton there. So it's not just about the sex life, not just about the sex organs, not just about PMS, not just about the headaches. Estrogen helps with the bone density, the strength of your bones. Osteoporosis, it's tied in there. Regulating bone density, brain function, your estrogen is tied to your mental clarity. Cholesterol mobilization, not your level of cholesterol, but the usage of the cholesterol mobilization. It's in there, it's floating around in your body. The usage of that cholesterol. Electrolyte balance. Your hydration. You're drinking a gallon of water each day, for example. You're trying to keep yourself hydrated, but then the electrolyte balance gets thrown off. Your blood gets watered down. Estrogen helps with that electrolyte balance. The electrolytes in your blood, sodium, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, these minerals, that's what the electrolytes are, these minerals. These minerals that are floating in your blood that need to remain in your blood. The electrolyte balance that needs to remain there, your estrogen level is affecting your electrolyte balance. Skin physiology. Really? How does your skin look? The actual appearance of your skin is affected by your level of estrogen. The actual appearance of your skin physiology. The cardiovascular system, the heart, now I've covered that many times. Your estrogen produced from your ovaries is affecting your heart health. So the cardiovascular system, the estrogen level in your body is affecting your cardiovascular system. That's the heart. Not as in, do you have passion? Do you have heart? Your actual physical heart. The central nervous system. So the estrogen level in your body is affecting the central nervous system. The yellow in the spinal column. The nerve fibers going all the way down and branching out to your organs and everything in your body. And the female reproductive organs. Yes, of course, the estrogen is definitely impacting your reproductive organs. I should just go on and bring it over. This, cardiovascular. Reproductive organs, obviously where the estrogen's not working properly. Your skeletal and your nervous system, all impacted by your estrogen level. Estrogen exhibits various functions through binding to its specific receptors. So we talked about that before, how each hormone has a transmitter and a receiver. The transmitter is something that's getting sent out, and the receiver are antennas or receptors on each cell. They are looking for specific hormones at specific times. These are the receptors, the receivers. Estrogen exhibits various functions through binding to its specific receptors. Estrogen receptor A, estrogen receptor B. Okay, it says, technically, estrogen receptor alpha, estrogen receptor beta, and G protein coupled estrogen receptor 1. So I say A, B, estrogen receptor A, estrogen receptor B. Technically, it's Greek estrogen receptor alpha, estrogen receptor beta, and G protein coupled estrogen receptor 1. In recent years, researchers have demonstrated that estrogen and its receptors serve an important role in the gastrointestinal tract and contribute to the progression of a number of GI diseases, including, how many deal with this? Gastroesophageal reflux, acid reflux. Technically, gastroesophageal reflux. So if you fight acid reflux, your estrogen is probably not right. Esophageal cancer, that actually gets treated in this office. At this moment, that's being treated. Peptic ulcers. So estrogen is one thing that impacts peptic ulcers. Gastric cancer, inflammatory bowel disease. There are other things that impact that as well. Inflammatory by default means there's inflammation there too, but this shows that estrogen, your level of estrogen is also impacting your inflammatory bowel disease. So yes, there's inflammation there. The estrogen is impacting the whole thing. Irritable bowel syndrome, okay, same story with that. IBS. Same story. And colon cancer. Inflammatory bowel disease, irritable bowel syndrome, and colon cancer. There's not a whole lot of difference between those other than the cancer. That's cancer. But in general, all three of those are to do with the colon. All three of those are to do with the colon not being right. It's irritated. The tissues. It's irritated. The colon tissues are damaged. No, it's not something we really talk about, but the colon tissues, since they are irritated, they are damaged. The two things actually go hand in hand. If you were to open the body up and look at it, the tissues would be red, inflamed, irritated, damaged. All three of those have a lot of that in common. So the estrogen level in your body is directly impacting these conditions going on with your colon. Okay, the aim of this review, because that was the abstract. So now we need to take a minute and to dive into this abstract just a little bit. Estrogens, especially ladies, yes, it impacts guys too, but especially ladies, including estrone, estriol, and biologically active metabolite 17-beta estradiol, E2, have long been considered important regulators of female reproductive functions and are primarily produced in the ovaries. So I said ladies. Long been considered important regulators of female reproductive functions. Obviously, this is logical and we know this, and are primarily produced in the ovaries. It also impacts the heart. In addition to the ovaries, several extragonadal tissues, such as the mesenchymal cells in the adipose tissue of the breast. Okay. Extragonadal. See, okay, this is technically, yeah, the breast wouldn't be considered gonads, but it is tied to it, so I consider it part of the gonadal system anyway. In addition to the ovaries, several extragonadal tissues, such as the fat tissue of the breast, osteoblasts, chondrocytes, aortic, heart, smooth muscle cells. Oh yeah, this would be extragonadal for sure. Vascular endothelium and numerous parts of the brain also produce estrogens. Who realized that? Did any of y'all realize the ovaries obviously produce estrogen? But in addition to the ovaries, breast tissue, actually not just breast tissue, but the fatty breast tissue, fat breast tissue, that does produce sex steroid hormones. It does. The fatty breast tissue, osteoblasts, bone. Osteoblasts are bone. It is bone tissue. Your bone health or lack of, the bone health is producing estrogen. Not on a grand scale, but it's producing estrogen. Chondrocytes, aortic smooth muscle cells. Aortic, your heart. I've told y'all several videos back that the heart is also a gland. With being a gland, the heart being a gland, it's not just cardiovascular, it's not just electrical, it's a gland. Being a gland, the aortic smooth muscle cells produce estrogen. Your heart produces estrogen. Not on a grand scale, but it produces it. Vascular veins. Think about this. Cardiovascular health. Cardiovascular. The heart, the veins, the vascular. Vascular endothelium and numerous. Okay. Vascular endothelium. The layer of tissue, there is a layer of tissue within your veins, therefore, that produces estrogen. Vascular, and so you have veins running all through your body. The endothelial layer, man, it's hard to say those two words together. The endothelial layer of your blood vessels, not the entire vessel, that layer produces estrogen. So all through your body where you have blood vessels, the vascular vessels, there's estrogen. Or it should be. And numerous parts of the brain also produce estrogens. Ovaries, fat tissue on the breast, bones, heart, veins, one layer of the vein tissue, and brain all produce estrogen. Man, there's estrogen all over your body. Well, there should be. And it should therefore also be balanced out with progesterone, ladies. Should be. So the whole estrogen dominance thing, it sounds logically like, well, you got estrogen being produced everywhere in all these different body tissues. Of course there's going to be estrogen dominance. But it should be balanced out with the progesterone as well. It should be. Estrogens have been demonstrated to serve functions outside of the female reproductive system, including in the cardiovascular system and central nervous system, cardiovascular, nervous, and function to regulate bone density, brain function, cholesterol mobilization, and electrolyte balance. In contrast to women, men are largely dependent on the local synthesis of estrogens in extragonadal target tissues. See, the ovaries are producing the majority of yours, ladies. Men don't have ovaries. We don't have near the same amount of estrogen produced. The majority of it is from your ovaries. If your estrogen balance is off, my hands hit things apparently. If your estrogen balance is off, there's probably an imbalance with your ovaries. If it's estrogen dominance, there's still probably imbalance with your ovaries, and then possibly with everything else too. Oh, where was I? Men. There we go. This local production of estrogens encompasses the signaling modality from endocrine to paracrine, autocrine, and intracrine signaling. Both estrogen and estrogen receptors have numerous effects on various organs and diseases specific to the GI tract. For example, estrogen and estrogen receptors have been demonstrated to serve pathophysiological roles in acid reflux. Okay, we already went over that part. It was in the abstract. Acid reflux, peptic cancer disease, peptic ulcer, gastric cancer, IBS, IBD, and colon cancer. So, estrogen is not just about your sex life. It's not just about PMS, and I know the grouchy, I'm just PMSing, or, oh, you're just PMSing, or, the desire to shut yourself away for 2 or 3 days because you're PMSing and this severe PMS and all this stuff. Ah, man. We chalk all that up, rightfully so, but the connotation is bad. We chalk all that up to hormones. As I said, rightfully so, because it is hormones. The connotation is extremely bad, and I don't like the connotation. I want to change the connotation. But, yes, we chalk all that up, rightly so, to hormones. But I want to point out that although we have been brought up and conditioned to see the mood swings as though you're just being hormonal. The headaches as, oh, you're just being hormonal. The lack of a sex drive is, oh, you're just being hormonal. Yes, I said that. I said that. The lack of a sex drive is, oh, you're just being hormonal. The irritableness, the grouchiness, should we say this? The bitchiness of the PMS period. We chalked it up to, oh, you're just being hormonal. Oh, wow, leave me alone. Just go away for a couple days until this passes. Although we chalked all that up to being hormonal, which it is, estrogen is much bigger. It has a much larger role than just these symptoms. Not to make light of those symptoms at all. Please understand that. This is not an attempt for me to make light of those symptoms. Those symptoms are bad. Yes, they need to be dealt with. Yes, they indicate that the estrogen is off balance. Yes, they do. But the estrogen level impacts so much more of your health than just the interaction with your partner, spouse, or public. The estrogen level in your body is so much bigger than just your sex life and your time with family and friends. It's so much bigger than just those aspects. And I know it's going to be hard to undo that conditioning, but we need to undo it. It's going to be hard to wrap our minds around everything that estrogen actually impacts, and having it at the correct level will actually impact. It's going to be hard to wrap our minds around that, but it's something we need to do. Okay, should I touch on that? Probably so. Largely type specific clones. Estrogen receptor alpha and beta have similar structures were respectively identified and cloned. You have receptors that have been cloned in 1986 and 1996, respectively. How does that make you feel? Hey, that's written in the science study. I didn't just pull that out of my butt. That is written in this science study. They're admitting your estrogen receptors were cloned. Okay. Is that going to contribute to this current discussion, though? I don't really think so. The estrogen, though, nuclear receptor, membrane receptor, distributed digestive system, reproductive system, nervous system, bone tissue. Let me pull that over here. And while I'm at it, let me get the heart. Oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time holding on to this heart today. Holding on to the heart today. It's not a problem I really want to usually have. Okay. Oh my gosh. One of those days, I suppose. All right. We normally think of estrogen as tied to the ovaries or the reproductive system. And granted, it is. Most of your estrogen is going to be produced here. And the biggest impact from the estrogen will actually be felt here. So there's that part too. The biggest impact from your level of estrogen, the most immediate impact when you know something's off, felt from your estrogen, is going to be in this system here. It is. It actually is. Then when it comes to the heart, then we tend to think either you're on a pharmaceutical and it's hurting your heart, or, well, the diet's rotten. I eat really crappy, so it's hurting your heart, or my ancestors had heart issues, had cardiovascular issues, therefore, the heart automatically. Assumption by default that your heart's going to be not good. But this estrogen, if this system is off, if your estrogen is off, causing this to be off, then we're impacting the heart, which I've said many, 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 many times. We're impacting the heart. We're impacting the bones. And if we're impacting the bone health, that means your entire immune system is then drawn down. Seriously. That's the large impact of the estrogen on the bones, the bone health. So you're looking at the digestive system. So it's not always, let me say it this way. It's not always a digestive issue. Have you ever known anybody that has digestive issues and they follow some fad advice? And yes, I'm going to call it fad advice. They follow some fad advice about, oh, do this for the GI tract. It straighten me up. It'll straighten you up too. And that person does it and nada. Because it's not, in that case, actually a GI issue. It's not. Then it becomes an estrogen issue. It's a hormonal issue. Big surprise there. It's hormonal. It's a hormonal issue. The nervous system. So we've talked several times about different nervous system issues. Who had any idea With all these yellow fibers coming from your spinal cord, coming from the top of your nervous system up here, down through the backbone, your spinal cord, all these nerve fibers are branching out from. Who had any idea that your level of estrogen currently in your body impacted the health and therefore the signals of your nervous system? To dig deeper into that, the level of estrogen in your body, you have nerve fibers here. They are going out to the organs and to the tissue. You know, you're touching something, you feel the sensation because it's tied back to this, and the signal goes to your brain, the top of your central nervous system. If the level of estrogen is not right, even this touch can feel different because the signal here has changed, because the estrogen has impacted your central nervous system, the nerve fibers coming from your spinal cord, going back to your spinal cord. So your sense of touch then changes because of the level of estrogen that is or is not in your body or being made by your body. Did we know that estrogen had those far-reaching effects? Again, it ain't just about your sex life. It ain't just about the headache. It ain't just about, leave me alone. It ain't just about that. Don't touch me. It ain't just about that. Estrogen is so much more than that. Your bone health, by the way, which includes your bone marrow, which, by the way, is where a lot of your frontline immunity cells are built, are made to fight things off. Estrogen affecting that. Heart, nerve fibers, your actual nerve fibers. Your level of estrogen is going to impact all this. Not just I know this study was about the gastrointestinal tract. I know. So it might not be a gastrointestinal issue. It might not be a central nervous system issue. It might not be a cardiovascular issue. It might not be an osteoporosis issue, a bone issue. It might all be hormonal. Well, I mean, hormonal, there are other hormones too. Let me clarify that. There are other hormones too. It might be an estrogen issue, a steroid hormonal issue. It might be. We need to test that and find out. Okay, so with all that said, find us at justsimplyholistic.com. Download our intake form, get it back to us, let us review it. Book your appointment, get yourself in here face-to-face with us, let us review your intake paper with you, get clarification on it, go through our initial gamut of testing, go through our blood test, go through our testing. Let's see what's going on with your body, where your numbers are. It's data, it's scientific, it's numbers. So, find our Simply Holistic office, get yourself in here. Let's test you. Let's see what's going on. We look forward to helping you with your estrogen level. We look forward to seeing and serving you soon.